Hello, and welcome back. And welcome to Black Hole Arena. This is where we're going to be doing our second of the more map-central positioning breakdowns. I'm going to be going into more detail on how certain comps normally play in this map and like where you'll often see people moving to and what's good positioning and what can be bad positioning, what can be problematic for teams. I didn't do that so much in the last one. I think that's something that people might benefit from a lot more. So let's get into this. This is again we're playing a Frost TSG. This is from my same queue session and playing against Frost Mage, Arms Warrior, Mistweaver Monk. Now here this isn't the best comp to play Warrior Mage, but like it's obviously you can like kind of mismatch around. It's not the strongest, but it's still like a reasonable comp. And what we'll often see is monks choosing to heal in. So a perfect example of like how healers end up setting up and how you end up fighting in this arena is very much based around this middle sort of column section here, where you have a healer that's will often choose to heal the room and then come out and go back in, come out and go back in. With monks, they can often port back, or if there's a lock on the team, they'll have their port there as well. Or you could have gates going in between like this. Now, because we're playing TSG and we're obviously, as we talked about before, very aggressive, our healer comes up close to this little bottom area here. So you can come around here to line of sight, and he can come back up here to get us, and we can drop down here if we wanted to. And then if he needs to push further, we push over here, he drops to this pillar here. Or if we push further this way, he can come on top and then drop round if he needs to and come back around that way. Whereas their healer who's playing up here is going to be mainly playing in this area. It's going to be very difficult to CC him. And if we have to swap to him, we have to use a lot to get to him. And then he can just kite us around this way and just run around circles around in this area. And then as a healer here, you can also just use the line of sight and kind of like skirt around. So if we're playing in this position, if we get in trouble here, we can peel back down over here and our druid can drop into there, or we can peel back behind this pillar or peel back around that way. Around this way is not exactly great because then we keep our druid line of sighted and he'll either have to pull out this way or have to pull out around that way. Other positions where you can often have this fight happening is down here in this little base area. This healer will still be able to do the same thing, and then he'll just pick up here and go like this. What you need to worry about is this area, is if you're playing a melee class like Warrior and you don't have Leap or something like that. It's similar to the Tolvaron Arena area where it's like a kill zone where you can drop in and you won't have any cover and you'll kind of be stuck. So like knowing if you can get in or out, or knowing if you're going to be kited, so if a shaman's going to like just leap back up, or a hunter's going to disengage back up, or somebody's just going to juke you down there, bear in mind that that can happen. It's similar to like the bridge on Blade's Edge, where you see like whenever a monk or somebody drops down and you know they're going to kite you, just don't go, just swap onto something else. You can also end up fighting in this area here, where it's more of just an open arena fight, where you'll often have the healer either this one relocating into there, and then one healer using this pillar. It's kind of a very straightforward, lots of line of sight, no real like deadly kill areas, but it's sort of like an ebb and flow in between the positioning and sort of like which team can really like use the positioning the best, or if make sure you don't give away positioning and kind of keep the places like nice and tight and like don't go out into the middle of nowhere if you don't need to. So for example, you won't see our druid often coming out unless he's trying to get CC. You won't see him just standing in the middle of nowhere. You'll see him hugging the pillars, or you'll see him there. Because if this monk actually does do it, he comes into some stupid areas later and actually catches CC, which is the reason why they get a lot of pressure on them. So now that we're talking about that, for the mage to come in and get CC, he has to blink into us, and also the warrior has to go push a bit further, and he has to go even further. So he has no blinks now. So he had to push really far to get CC, which is really good positioning from our druid, because it's just like you want people to go into a bad position to get it. So we see that the monk came in too close, came out of the thing, and then caught a fear, and then you get bubble and we get block as well. instead of just getting one. So it's sort of worrying about like coming in because they came too close to where he was like wanting to be setting up. So as we said, an ebb and flow in how the kind of like as you rotate and push people around the arena, you swap into these two things, and it's all about your healer knowing where to go, like coming to that pillar, so the warrior has to chase him around. The warrior's not really going to get anything done there. He's not peeling us at all from the mage, and then you have the monk joining them there. And our druid just sits bare. He knows he's just going to peel around this area while we just like start stomping on the mage. And they're still really far behind. They're trying to do like a swap onto the mage, but swap onto the druid, but it's not really going to work that well because he can just kite around that area. It's mainly going to be sporadic mage damage with a lot of warrior damage, but it's not going to be enough to kill him with what he has. So we're still just in the middle here, and as you can see, now that we've pushed on very much into the middle, you can see both of the healers kind of fighting over this middle position and kind of just going around. But what does put this monk in a bit of a bad position, if our druid manages to juke the warrior's kick, he could stun and then cyclone the monk if he wanted to without having to use displace or anything. A decent positioning that could be brought up is someone could have moved into the here to use this as a means of healing, but I think this monk kind of just moves around a lot and kind of gets into some weird positions where he does get caught quite frequently. So like he could be gripped very easily, and you see him actually move to where our druid was in the beginning. You see these recurring areas where healers like to go because it's kind of a safe little peel back area. And there's obviously like loads of places where you can use a good ring of peace that to exclude people. It would have worked really well had the mage stayed in it and then walked backwards, because the DK wouldn't have been able to go through. So DK goes and peels for a little bit, and you see essentially the healers have swapped positions to where they were at the beginning. The monk is now where our druid was, and our druid is now using that gate area because they're all really strong areas of line of sight. Again, using the pillar, and we're kind of just following this mage. Wherever he goes, we go, because we've got like all the momentum in this fight. They need to be peeling us. The warrior could definitely be doing a lot more to impact how this game's going. I think they definitely stay on our druid for too long in this, because it's going to be difficult for this mage to actually get rid of us without any more peels, because I have a charge for everything. So again, we're just fighting out in the open. It's probably not the best place for them to be fighting. The monk does come in, and they go into a really awkward grouped area. This isn't a good position for them to be in as this team, because they want to be setting up. They're trying to desperately set up a CC chain because that's what they need to be doing. This is where monk doesn't really excel in the healing of this this comp, because it doesn't have too much crowd control. That doesn't DR with all the other stuff that's already there. So he would have to roll in, leg sweep, then get polys off out of it, when you're better off just stormbolting and then going into polys after it and just having the monk heal. So they end up like grouping up, and because our druid is in this position using this gate really well, they force them all the way over here, and the monk had to use stuff instead of healing, and that's where the mage gets toppled, because he didn't really drag us into any positions we didn't want to necessarily go. What he could have done is he could have dragged us into one of the rooms and pulled our druid out of position to then get a CC chain on him and kill one of us who's overextending through into the room. But that never really happened. They were always pushing for the CC instead of dragging. So if they'd fought maybe in that room, they could have dragged him out, CC'd him up, and then when we peel out, killed us in there. But what they end up doing is just kind of waddling around in the middle, not really choosing a target to go on, not CCing any of the DK of the warrior off him, and always trying to land polys on him with the warriors kind of sitting on him. And the positioning of our healer really extended them too much, to the point where the damage, the extending, the monk trying to push in to help CC because the mage couldn't get it because he had no peels. So the mage overextending, and then the monk comes in. He gets feared, AoE feared twice without me having to even leap or charge to him, which is terrible for him. And there we kind of just hold the position. The hold the good positions, don't really try and force anything too fancy, because if I say a druid did the opposite and went, oh, I'm going to go in and then bashes, and then he trinkets the bash into a sap, into a leg sweep, into a full polymorph, and then they kill either me or the DK, that could have easily have happened. But we just held the position, just went through the rotations, didn't get dragged anywhere stupid like I did in the Tilveron match, where we were just getting dragged badly by a mage. So it's like knowing not to go in certain places if you're being dragged. There's knowing the difference in between being dragged somewhere and chasing someone somewhere because they're scared. I think those are two major things. And I hopefully, as a healer, if you're looking at this, you kind of like picked out some areas where like, yeah, I'm going to try and line of sight there, and like you kind of know where the fight goes, where maybe you should be going, or knowing that trying to pinpoint, if you want a melee DPS, trying to pinpoint whether or not you're being dragged somewhere that's bad for you, or like you're pushing somewhere where you want them to be or where you want to hold. Because like it's harder to position as TSG when you know you have to constantly going after a team. But if you can pull back and reset, you can always just go back and hold one of these strong positions and force them to come into you, or try and grip them into you or something like that. If you have setups where you can kill, which is better for like bursty comps, as we said, like comps like Arcane Fury and things like that. They can just peel back and then go, okay, we have go, and then just go and like punch people to death. But I hope this was interesting. I hope it was useful. I'm going to be getting on to some more arena ones throughout the week and continuing the spec overviews. Appreciate y'all. Peace. Hello there, and thanks for watching my video. Make sure to subscribe if you like what you see, and like if you liked it, dislike if you don't. Please comment to let me know what you want to see in the future, and make sure to come tune in and watch me on Twitch. I'm live from 12 a.m. or 12 midnight GMT for normally about 6 hours, playing a whole bunch of games. Hopefully I'll see you there.